Good evening from Swansea wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. Last night on Monday Night Raw, the Judgment Day repaired their cracks, and Cody Rhodes compared Brock Lesnar to student debt. Might be the strangest comparison ever. But before we get into all of this, let me introduce to you guys who is joining me on the show today. Firstly, the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
I'm doing well. Still trying to figure out the whole student debt line, but that's not here nor there. We've got Monday Night Raw to cover today, and I'll figure that out at some point. I don't get it. I mean, Brock had a scholarship, as far as I know. So he wouldn't even be able to relate to the line. I'm not even sure it was a dig that could affect him. That guy didn't pay for college. Not at Minnesota, he didn't. Either way.
It was a strange line, and we're going to be getting into that later on because, well, we have to get into that. But as you know, usually on this show, we have Drizzy here on Tuesdays, but unfortunately, he's got prior commitments this week. So I decided to look all over the globe to try and find the next best person. And unfortunately, Kobe Galanzowski wasn't free, so I've had to settle for Chaos instead. How are you, Chaos?
Wow. Well, I'll be... you actually got a couple singers in you, Ben. Congratulations. Oh, my gosh. Okay, fair enough. It doesn't matter. It's all good. The host of Take It to the Table is here to talk about some interesting promos from Raw. And, I hope I don't disappoint you, Ben. Let's get to it.
I had to get you back for last time, but let's get right into things and let's get into the Judgment Day because Finn Balor opened up Monday Night Raw, pacing back and forth in the ring and blaming Damian Priest for the fact that he isn't the World Heavyweight Champion following Money in the Bank. Rhea Ripley then came out and, diffused the situation a little bit. And I love how she handled it, right? Because most people in this situation, if you go, historically on wrestling shows, they would have gone in the ring and spoken into the mic to say, we shouldn't handle this out there. No, Rhea put the mic down and was telling Finn that they, shouldn't handle it out there. So it made it feel more real. And I love that. Obviously, in reality, the cameras picked it up, but it just that little thing made it feel more genuine. Yes, for the people in the crowd, they wouldn't have heard it, but oh well, it was a line. Seth Rollins then interrupted after Finn Balor left, and Dominic and Rollins kind of had a back and forth. Rollins absolutely roasted Dominic as per usual. And Rollins was just digging into some buffalo wings as well while he was out there. He was just having a great, good old time. After the segment, Rhea told Damian that, you and Finn just need to sort things out. You need to get back on the same track because this is all childish and we don't want this to be what the Judgment Day is. And then in a later segment, Damian Priest and Finn Balor sorted things out, agreeing that Finn Balor is next in line for Seth Rollins, which pretty much answers our question as to, what's going to be, what's on track for Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. It seems like another rematch against Finn Balor. But Clark, I'll head to you first. What did you think about this opening segment and the Judgment Day getting back on the same track?
I'll speak quickly about the Judgment Day, but not until I apologize. About 6 months ago, I said I would rather see Seth Rollins as a heel. I wasn't sure outside of the fans singing the song that I could handle him as a babyface. And the minute I saw him devour those buffalo wings, I realized how wrong I was. I am dead wrong. This is the top babyface in the WWE currently, and it's really not close. Seth is still the man. If you're going to explain him versus Finn, again, the way they did it was solid to me. Ripley's involvement was fine with me. Ripley stepping up, I've been begging for a leader of the Judgment Day for months. Starting to feel like Ripley. For a long time, it felt like Balor. Then you thought it might be Priest for a minute. Right now, it feels like Rhea Ripley is the heart and soul of the Judgment Day. And they all need to listen to her. And if there is going to be a Priest-Balor rivalry based on them both chasing the same prize, having Ripley in the middle does make some sense to me, and I'm fine with it. We're obviously going to get into later Dirty Dom and Seth. I don't know. It's a lot of Judgment Day and Seth interaction. Each one gets a little mini interaction. I don't know. It that is interesting to me, but I'm okay with it. I didn't hate this at all. And if you're gonna explain Finn's gonna get another shot, they did a great job of that, especially the doubt he showed on the microphone backstage later. With, I know it's not the exact segment we're talking about, but later, as Priest was explaining, no, you go first, but we're still good, as he holds up the briefcase. That moment, I think, was as impactful as anything, because it left you with something to think about. But for now, the problems are solved.
But not only that, the way which Damien said it was, Finn said, I'll get him. And he was like, yeah. And Damien just goes, yeah, even if you don't, we're all good. So it kind of just seems like Damien's doubting Finn can actually do it. And that was that luck then which Finn gave. And the layers to this story. I love it. Subtle. I'm loving the Judgment Day right now. They've completely sold me on it. Rhea being the leader, I think, is 100% the move. I've said that for months. That's nothing new to me. But I love the direction they're going in. Just please don't split them up yet. At least, give them a bit more time. But now let's move on to another faction who they might be splitting up, and that is Imperium. As Riddle and McIntyre defeated Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. I did the same thing as Matt Riddle did last night then. But yeah, after the match, Gunther was just not too pleased with Vinci, and they were kind of shouting at him on the ramp. I'm going to be honest here. Everybody's, going mad online saying, can't believe they're splitting up Imperium. If they were to split up Imperium, I'd agree with you. It makes no sense, but I don't think that's what they're doing. Gunther's always, kind of done this thing, similar to what, Roman's done throughout his reign as leader of the Bloodline, where he kind of, just bullies people to make sure they stay in line. Gunther's done that before. He did that in Ring Camp, and he's done that in Imperium before. So I don't think there's anything, new here. I think they're just going to be rebuilding Imperium back up to have Vinci, be a stronger threat than he currently is. But Chaos, what did you think about this tag match? And do you have some fears? Possible split could be happening?
With the current management side of things that's going on backstage, I have to be open-minded. Anything is really possible. In this, I would like to think that it's not, because I think you nailed it on the head, saying that there has been some tension within the groups. I mean, even when Giovanni Vinci left the group prior, and then it was just Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. When Ludwig Kaiser was on a losing streak, he was chopping the skin off of Ludwig, and he's still there. He's just a sucker for punishment.
Yeah.
So they have done it before. He hasn't gone down that road just yet with Giovanni, but I don't think I don't. The fact that Riddle's getting an Intercontinental Championship match next week is, they're not doing the thing where Giovanni Vinci is going to be on a losing streak or costing the team matches or anything like that. So I don't think they're going to split them up. There will be, obviously, he needs to pull his weight. Imperium are hella over. But obviously, because of the slow shift of power backstage, I wouldn't be surprised if they went down that route. But I'm going to stick with my guns and say that no, I don't think they're going to split. The match itself was fine. It was a standard TV tag match. I did think that obviously McIntyre was going to win, because it's his return match. Of course, he's going to win. But yeah, nothing really to write home about. Just the main talking point was at the end. But yeah, I would like to think that they're gonna stick around for a while. Just there's a bit of tension. He needs to pull his weight. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you mentioned that perfectly. They did this exact same thing with Ludwig months and months ago now, probably over a year ago, and now they're probably just going to do the same storyline with Vinci. And I hope there's nothing else to it. I hope there's no split, because it would just make no sense. But now let's move on. But let's stay in the tag team division, and let's stay talking about tag teams, and specifically the tag team championships. as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were backstage. And they were backstage after WWE had their weekly Bloodline video package segment there on Raw, where they explain each week what happened on SmackDown the previous week. And then immediately following it, have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens interviewed backstage. I wish somebody had done, a timer, or, I've been counting how many consecutive weeks this has been now, because it must be, heading towards 10. But Sami and Kevin were interviewed backstage, and they were asked, what's next for them? And they named everybody in the Raw Tag Team division, apart from the Judgment Day. So then Dirty Dom and Rhea Ripley interrupted, and Rhea was not too happy. But I'm not too happy with Rhea, to be honest with you, because she seems to be involved in every title in the entire company right now, apart from her own. But that's another thing. But yeah, Rhea ended the promo by saying, Dom has been working on his cardio and he never gets tired, leading to Sami Zayn asking Kevin Owens what she meant by that. And that was just brilliant. That made the night. Fantastic segment. Got a laugh out of everybody. But what about you, Clark? What do you feel about this segment? And do you think it's kind of getting a bit old now? Us seeing a 5-minute long video package about the Bloodline every week on Raw, and then the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens interview that follows it. I mean, should they just move on?
To be totally honest, this may shock you, but I'm actually not tired of it. And I this is no knock on the rest of the show, because I actually enjoyed the show as a whole. I thought it was the best segment of the night. As short as it was, Kevin Owens is freaking hilarious. I don't care who you are. He's that funny. When Ripley said you mentioned everybody in the tag division except us, and he said, well, that's fair. I lost it. That was the sneakiest one-liner in the whole segment. It was comedy and good comedy. And the dynamic between Sami and Kevin is great. Breaking the unwritten rule of interrupting their promo is even funnier, how much it upsets Kevin. And outside of my only complaint being, I wish it was Priest or Balor standing next to Dom, the person that's going to wrestle with him in the tag division, as well as Ripley, I didn't have any issues with it. And I think the idea of giving them a weekly backstage interview, it's not getting old for me, because each one is comedic. It's entertaining. It keeps Sami and Kevin on the screen in a very, very positive way, even if they're not building towards a title match at a pay-per-view. And once we do get them in a storyline, there's no doubt how good a storyteller both men are. So yeah. I'm not too worried when it comes to that, because they can give you a 60-second story like they did in this segment, or for the 10 weeks previous, like we've discussed. I really am enjoying these, and I hope they continue to do them. The one thing I will say that is kind of funny to me is you can tell it was previously taped, though, because Kevin Owens is wearing the 1997 Bret Hart t-shirt, and then when they did the run-in, one segment later is wearing the KO shirt.
Oh, wow.
I didn't really think of that. Yeah,
that's great if that's true. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
Not if it's true. It's true. I watched.
So, I mean, to be honest, I think it's actually almost as likely KO changed his t-shirt for eagle-eyed viewers like you, Clark. But I mean, I should have explained that question a little bit better, because just to clarify, I'm not getting old of seeing Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn backstage. I'm getting old of seeing the 5-minute Bloodline segment immediately followed by that, an interview by Sami and Kevin. I mean, come on, guys. I know Sami was such a big bit in the Bloodline storyline, but I mean, they won. They beat them. Let them move on. They won. Free them from it. But no, they are comedy backstage together. Clark, the one thing I do want to ask you about quickly is, Rhea Ripley, right? I briefly said about it then, but she's involved in nearly every title feud in the company right now, apart from the one which she holds. There's just, they tease something with Raquel later on in the show, but Raquel's a tag team champion too, and they're not really pushing that. There's only a couple of weeks before SummerSlam. Are they really going to try and rush through that? Maybe, but I don't know. What do you think, Clark?
I mean, here's the only thing I would say is, and it's obviously different conversation, but I mean, Roman Reigns has been similar at times, right? He's been involved in every feud except the title that's his own. and being the leader of a faction, I think if we define her as the leader of the Judgment Day, I have no problem with it.
Fair enough.
Being
That's
the most
a great
powerful
comparison.
from the women's division, right? Then I have no issue with it. Now, if the waters are muddied and it's just a way to avoid the fact that you don't have a traditional or an obvious challenger to develop a storyline with Ripley, that will be apparent in the next few months. But for now, I'm okay with it, right?
Yeah.
And what points of Roman is the example. I guess
No,
that's the way
that is a great comparison. I mean, I guess the counter argument to that would be at least Roman was still wrestling in those
Right.
storylines. But at the same time, you know, Rhea's getting on TV every week. She's still getting over. But come on, she's great in the ring, guys. Let's give her some stuff. Let's just give her some storylines. But now, well, let's move on, but not moving on too far because we're still talking about the Judgment Day and we're talking about Dirty Dom once again because Dirty Dom then had his rematch with Seth Rollins and this match was closing the opening hour of Monday Night Raw, which basically means it's, you know, it's code for this match isn't going to happen and is going to turn into something in the main event, which guess what? Exactly that happened because Dirty Dom, attacked Seth Rollins before the match. And then Balor and Priest joined the attack, and Rollins was getting dominated before Owens and Zayn came out and made the save. The fact this match didn't happen tells me one thing and one thing only. It tells me that Dominic is going to beat Carmelo Hayes for the NXT title. We know the Judgment Day, you know, going down to NXT for a storyline. And we speculated on yesterday's episode about that. And yeah, I think it's becoming more and more clear to me. I think Dirty Dom will be the next NXT champion, or at least a challenger at the very, very least. I think it is possible we see everybody in the Judgment Day holding gold apart from Finn Balor in the next couple of months. But Chaos, what did you think about this segment and the fact that they didn't end up having this rematch between the two?
First off, I didn't realize that was even happening, and your prediction sounds kind of sick. I like the fact that, you know, they all have titles except for Finn. So that's something I would like to see. At first I was like, Dom as NXT champion? What the hell is wrong with you? But it makes sense. I like that. Let's see if that happens. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping this wouldn't happen because now we're going. It looks like we're treading old waters again. It's like rematches now. It's been happening consistently, you know, for the past few weeks where it happens one week and then, or it doesn't happen a week prior, so they redo it the following week. It's and we all know someone that used to love doing rematches week after week on SmackDown, on Raw, and maybe even going on the SmackDown as well. So yeah, I wasn't really too happy with that. One little tidbit one little thing I saw that I did like was obviously prior to that they had the segment where Priest and Finn, they squashed the beef backstage, and then that's when they all came and obviously attacked Seth Rollins, and then there was a bit where I saw Finn and Dom roll into the ring, and then you see Finn telling him like, throw him in the ring. Priest was not having any of it. He was still wailing on Seth, and he just did not like. I think there was at one point, I think he did look at the ring, but he just carried on like beating down Seth. So even though they said they squashed the beef, there is still obviously some clear tensions and, you know, some sly words said between the two, which I did like. And then that's when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came through afterwards. So yeah, you're right. I kind of, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that this match wasn't going to happen, and you're going to get like a multi-man tag match, which I had no complaints about. But yeah, I think the most important part was that bit where they squashed the beef, but then still Damien is not listening to Finn, or he doesn't care what Finn said at the end of that. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think I really care for in that whole segment.
Yeah, they squashed the beef, but it looks more like a smash burger.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
It's paper over cracks. It absolutely
it's still
is.
beef.
But now let's move on to two people who have beef, and that is Ricochet and Logan Paul. And let me just firstly start off by saying I'm just really happy to see Ricochet in this position, you know, having a proper main roster feud and one where he's getting airtime, he's getting promo time, and he's looking good. I'm just thrilled to see him in this position because he's somebody who I think has been underrated for quite a few years now. His promo ability at times has been weaker compared to a lot of people on the roster, but last night he was great on the mic. I thought he was fantastic. The two had a phenomenal promo exchange. And every time we see Logan Paul, he seems to be getting even better on the mic. I said when he was a face that he'd be a perfect heel, obviously. I don't think that was much of a hot take, but he absolutely is the perfect heel. He is phenomenal on the mic as a heel, and he's just, you can't help but hate him. And that is brilliant. That's what you want. And then just to make this segment even better, Ricochet brought back the jump to the outside of the ring that, of course, he did against Velveteen Dream a few years ago in NXT. And then even better, Logan Paul did the exact same reaction with his head just, you know, looking down with the glasses. It was brilliant, that. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to see this match at SummerSlam. I think it's going to be an absolute banger. And I'm glad to see Ricochet getting a bit more of the spotlight. But Clark, I know you're not a fan of Logan Paul, but what did you think about this exchange?
You know, I said so many nice things about the Sammy and Kevin segment. I forgot how much I loved this one because I complained months ago about Logan calling Ricochet unprofessional on Impulsive. It bothered me because I was like, hey, man, that's punching down, right? Like that could come across to fans that have never seen Ricochet as too much truth in a way that it bothered me. The way that they addressed it on air, the way that he addressed it on the microphone and they played it into the storyline. Okay, I'm cool. Now I dig it. Now I totally dig it. And then the other thing, the flip out of the ring. I watched it with my dad. He looked over at me and goes, "Can you do that in the video game?" And I go, "Honestly, not without hitting someone. You can't." But even in the video game, it doesn't look that impressive. That's human highlight reel stuff, superhero stuff. And let's see that side of Ricochet in the ring with Logan Paul at SummerSlam. I can't wait. I really, really, really wish I had a complaint about this segment. I really don't. Not one.
Would it be too extreme to say you're becoming a fan of Logan Paul, Clark?
Oh yeah, way too extreme. It was a good segment. It wasn't.
You're still not buying into him yet. You're still not buying Prime.
I'll say this: I'm a big fan of his professional wrestling acumen and ability to work the crowd, as well as his dedication to the athletic side. And he covered up a little hole in everything that I didn't love, which was the podcast unprofessional thing. Now that it's a part of the storyline, okay, we're back. I'm cool with that. Am I a fan yet? No, not quite.
In fairness to him, right? It was so clear on Impulsive he was in storyline.
Right. But reading the quote is that's
no,
where
I know. And that's why, I mean, we got a lot of people on our page with that quote when we did it. And I mean, I thought it would come across as obvious using kayfabe, and it did to a lot of people, but also to some others, it did not. But I mean, I still want to see. I want to see him versus Cameron Grimes for the cryptocurrency.
Same.
Cameron Grimes is unhappy about Crypto Zoo, whatever it's called. He wants his money back. He's not stacking money anymore, and he wants Logan Paul's money. That's a feud.
Take Logan Paul's money.
That would certainly be a great, great feud. But now let's talk about another great feud, and that is, of course, being Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. They're seemingly setting up for another match at SummerSlam. And in preparation for this, Becky Lynch took on Zoe Stark on last night's episode of Raw. And shockingly, Zoe got the victory. And I'm not complaining about this at all, right? Becky didn't lose clean, if you'd like to say that. Although it was Becky's fault. But Becky got distracted by, Trish being there and all of that. And then Zoe Stark took advantage and got the win. And they must have big plans for Zoe Stark. And I'm completely on board with that because she is so good in the ring. She is like a veteran and she's only 29. I actually genuinely thought she was older when she got called up to the main roster. That surprised me. I'm delighted about this. I thought everything about this was great. Becky looked fine in defeat because obviously Trish is in her head, but Zoe looked fantastic with the victory. But Chaos, what did you think about Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark?
Yeah, I mean it was a fine match. I was more just impressed with the chemistry that they both have. Especially when Becky reversed the is it Z360? Is that the right name? Is that a
I believe so.
Yeah.
Chaos, I'm the wrong person to ask about moves. I'm useless with names.
Yeah, I think it's the Z360. And she reversed it nicely. I'm happy that they actually took the chance and gave Starks the rub on this. Because I don't think this hurts Becky. I mean, Becky is like untouchable right now. It's that someone that's not gonna be harmed with any kind of crazy losses or anything like that. It's a nice little twist to the story. Obviously, this is somehow going to ultimately lead to Trish and Becky at SummerSlam. It makes, because of this simple win, it does make me more intrigued about where they're going to go with this now and how they're going to lead into the match at SummerSlam, because Trish has still got that mask on. I don't know if she's probably using it as a prop in terms of like there's one episode she's going to just take it off and just hit Trish with hit Becky with it. But yeah, the match itself was cool. I am not gonna lie, I don't remember much of it, but except for that spot I just said and the finish. But yeah, I'm still intrigued to see where they go from here. I hope. Well, it's most likely going to be Becky with winning a SummerSlam, but yeah, it was fine for what it was.
Well, perhaps there's nothing wrong with Trish Stratus's face anymore. Perhaps she's just wearing it for protection. Maybe she doesn't even have an evil plan. She's just wearing it for protection. Like Owen Hart wore the arm cast back in the 90s. You can tell that I've been watching the Monday Night Wars lately. But let's now move on to something which was a lot of fun last night on Raw, and that was Maxine Dupri's graduation, because Maxine Dupri has officially graduated from Alpha training. So congratulations to her, and this ceremony was hilarious. There was tons of thank yous and all of that. There was no shoosh, please. That was the only thing which would have made it better. But the Alpha Academy is so over right now.
Abel did say at the beginning.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I'm wrong then. I missed that. And I'm just that I missed that. That's my favorite part.
We led with a shoosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe I missed that. That's upset me now.
My favorite part.
No,
I hear you. A tough thing to miss out on.
The Alpha Academy are so over right now. They absolutely are. They're the most, they want the most over lower mid card people we've seen in a little while. Is it all a bit stupid? Of course it is. But you just need some great, fun filler storylines on a 3-hour show like Raw. And this has absolutely been it. Everybody involved needs a round of applause. I mean, some people are complaining about the Viking Raiders being on a comedy storyline, but they're not being presented as a comedy act, so I don't have much of an issue with it. But what about you, Clark? What did you think about Maxine Dupri's graduation?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I want to congratulate Maxine Dupri on being the Alpha Queen. That's a huge accomplishment. We all know about the 4-0 in the Masters program at Full Sail that Chad Gable was able to achieve, the 4-0 GPA, that is. And to come up under his tutelage, I mean, that's huge for Maxine. For that Viking scum to steal her jacket is just nothing short of disappointing to me. In all seriousness, though, I loved it. I love the entertainment. It's great. Maxine Dupri's hilarious. Otis, charisma off the charts. Gable, underrated charisma.
Yes.
Not enough credit. We're talking about an Olympic gold medalist with charisma off the charts. I don't know what other people are missing, because he also, for like a 6-month stretch in 2022, was going like 15 minutes a night in singles matches that he lost and stealing the show every night. It's Chad Gable, and he's made the best of it. You want to talk about taking lemons and making lemonade? He made lemonade and vodka. Like, it's good. It's tasty, it's funny, it's entertaining, and it's impressive. At the end of the day, for me, one thing I found interesting, and I'm always the one that comments on the gear or the shirts and all of that. Otis in the plain black trunks, not the matching Alpha Academy trunks, and not matching gear or color scheme. Once the gown came off, the ring gear that Maxine Dupree was wearing was very different from Gable's. And I don't know if that is something that maybe we're building to, at whether it be Payback, that seems a little soon. But in the fall, an Otis Gable turn on each other, Otis and Maxine together, and a singles run, I hope not. But it scares me that Otis is wearing the generic gear and not the Alpha Academy gear that he's been wearing previously.
Yeah. No, I mean, thing is, right, a lot of times when you point these little things out, I kind of think, I don't know if they put this much thought into them. But a lot of times you've been right, especially with the bloodline stuff. And again, I don't know how much, if they're putting this much thought into this storyline, but who knows? Because it is a very good one. I just really hope you're wrong about this. I do
too. No. By the way, to be clear, I hope I'm wrong. To be clear on that.
They're so
right.
Good.
I'm not saying like that. That's my pick. That's not what I want to see in any way. Right. I just noticed it and was like,
Yeah.
Wouldn't they all be wearing red, white, and blue like Gable?
I mean, they were all teasing. Yeah. I know it for a fact. For a few months prior, they were teasing they were going to break. Well, as soon as Maxine, I thought they were going to split them during the draft. If anything, Maxine and Otis, and then Gable stay at Raw or something.
Well, and notice she still calls him Otis.
Yeah. So I think they are going to do that at some point. They're just delaying it because they just probably realized how over they were with the crowd. And they actually acknowledged it, and then it was, let's just ride this out for a while. But yeah, I think that turn is going to come. I don't know when, but it's coming. So you might be right on that. That might be a little sign right there that she's leaning, or he's listening more to Maxine than he is to Chad. So yeah,
they're kind of the people who I feel the worst for in this is the maximum male models. Mace and Mansoor, because I mean there's just nothing for them now. But I hope they're repackaged because both of them have quite good potential. Well, I mean,
and this is what's so frustrating to me, Ben, is so then you bring up Pretty Deadly, a very similar gimmick, and you cut the manager and the legs off of maximum male models. I'm not saying Mansoor don't have a shot now. That's not right. So that has to be a gimmick change as soon as possible, I think.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Maybe you bring back Retribution. No,
we got
a couple of comments here. Firstly, Rick Taylor. Shout out to Rick Taylor saying, if Clark picked that out from just the gear, then he's my hero. And that'll be an amazing prediction if true. We've also got Soul in the comments saying, careful, Allison. Chaos is having memory issues.
No,
let's see on the next Take It to the Table. Oh no.
I was just trying to be dynamic, and it kind of I just forgot how people. Basically, the next episode is we're doing the top 10 list, and I forgot who actually did their number 8s and number 7s, and I was just going in the circle. That's all it was. I was trying to be dynamic, and it messed up. So. Shut up, Soul. But whatever.
As a fellow host, as 3 fellow hosts on this panel today,
I can relate.
Understand. Yeah.
Thank you for defending me. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Stop being such a hypocriticizer.
Exactly.
Word of the day. Don't think it is one, but
I just invented it.
I like it.
Now, let's talk about somebody who's very good with their words. Let's talk about Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes delivered a beautifully crafted, exceptionally delivered promo this week on Raw, it had me invested and on the edge of my seat the entire way through. Just for the result of it to be absolutely nothing and for him to compare Brock Lesnar to Student Debt. I'm going to be honest here, right? This was like a 6-minute promo where basically all that was achieved was Cody asking Brock to show up next week on Raw. He hooked us in for 6 minutes to tell us that. It was like, to be fair to Cody, you know, there's only so much he can do when Brock isn't there. But this was such a good promo. But there was just not really any substance to it at all. I mean, Clark, we know your thoughts on Cody, so we'll go to Chaos for this one. Chaos, what did you think about this Cody Rhodes promo?
So not only has Cody solved racism, he has also compared everyone's fears to a Brock Lesnar. So yeah, except that he has got the literal version of Brock Lesnar. I thought it was fine. Like he came out to a huge ovation, went out there, shook hands, kissed babies, all that kind of stuff, and yeah, it was a very passionate promo. It did feel kind of like I was like, okay, where's he going with this? Saying, I think he said something that there was a race and a lady took a wrong turn, and apparently that's her Brock Lesnar. I was like, okay, that's a bit of a stretch, but all right. But it was fine for what it was. I do understand it was very long-winded just for him to just invite Brock Lesnar, like Brock needs a flipping invite to a show. Just to accept the match. But yeah, I'm still enjoying the storyline, even though like Cody has said it himself, like he's bullying him for nothing, for no reason. It was fine. It was like I'm gonna take a word from David Sheldon, the reviewer of Wrestling Republic. It was fine. Yeah, it's what more can you say? Really, it was just really random. It did feel like, where is he going with this? But I thought he landed decently for what it's worth.
Well, Clark, it's time for you to note this down. Note down the date that I say something negative about Cody Rhodes, right? Because here's the thing. They've been building this feud. Brock Lesnar's been bullying him, like you said, Chaos. And then Cody just said, meet me here next week. It's not personal. I just, want to sort things. I want to sort things out. I want one final match and to see who, the better man is and all of this. I was like, it should be personal. You should be livid. What are you on about? That, this is all friendly. It should not be friendly. The guy's bullying you. This is ridiculous. That is the one thing that Cody said in his promo, which I actually hated, right? The rest of it is like, yeah, he had to drag a promo out for 6 minutes and he did a good job at it. He should not have been given that much promo time for what he was given to say, but he did a fine job of, putting it together. But that one line I hated. Clark, you know what? Screw it. I'll let you say something. Go for it.
Always have to listen to what he wants to talk about after he asks all of us what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's unfair. There's nothing babyface about that. He's not talking about any of the stuff that I would want to talk about. He asks me what I want to talk about, and then he talks about whatever he wants to talk about. As long as he wants to do it, too. And he wears a suit and a tie clip, and he does it every time. And Brock Lesnar never had to pay for college. He didn't even get that reference.
Mic drop,
oh, my gosh. Honestly, these Cody rants. We have every week, I tell myself, I'm not going to let Clark talk about Cody this week. And every week something happens, whether it's like more time or something, and then Clark delivers fantastic rant about Cody. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to make this a reel now, aren't I? And then we get all these haters and all of this.
It is what it is.
So yeah, he's pretty much nailed it right in the head. Like he says, so Cody says, so what do you want to talk about? And he was, well, what are you still talking to the Young Bucks? What do you think about CM Punk? No, forget all that. Let's talk about Brock Lesnar.
Let's talk about exactly what I want to talk about.
That's what I want to talk about. Yeah, I know it's what y'all want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm Cody Rhodes.
Well, I know what I want to talk about now, and I want to talk about the main event of Monday Night Raw, the Judgment Day versus Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. And this was just a solid main event of Raw, really. The Judgment Day really did seem on the same, track for this match. You touched upon it earlier, Chaos, right? That now, during the earlier segment, when Balor and Priest, helped Dominic, there was still a bit of a miscommunication. Well, in this main event match, there was a similar thing. Apart from this time, Priest just gave it to Finn, let Finn get the pin and get the victory. And yeah, I thought this was a solid main event to Monday Night Raw, but not something you should go out of your way to see. But the big talking point is Judgment Day are back on the same track for the time being, and I'm glad about that because they're the most over thing on Monday Night Raw. They're the most interesting thing on Monday Night Raw, and they're certainly not something that I want to see go yet. Tease this Finn and Damian Priest stuff for, tease it for a few months. Why not, right? How about have Seth Rollins completely fail? Have Dirty Dom win NXT Gold? Have Rhea still be the champion? And then have Damian with that briefcase at any point? And then Finn's just worried about the possibility of being the only one in the Judgment Day without gold. I mean, I think that's where you go from here. I truly, truly do. But Clark, what about you? What did you think about this main event match? And are you glad the Judgment Day, at least for the time being, seems to be here to stay?
We were on a roll all afternoon. I hadn't complained all day, truly, outside of making the joke about Cody. And then there's this one. Something felt off to me the whole match. It was like clunky in spots, and it felt a lot like it was built around Balor and Priest's dynamic. And it was like the two most suitable guys on the other side are Sami and Kevin, but they're your world undisputed tag team champions. We don't have another strong enough tag team in the division to main event with Judgment Day and tell the same story. We have to do this to our champions. What are we doing? Be better. Be better. It was fine for what it was storytelling wise, but just be better. Come
You're
on.
stealing my line. Book it better.
Not book it better. Be better. Period. Sami and Kevin didn't deserve that. And as a smart, whatever you want to call me, I know that the way it was viewed, I believe that the way it was viewed was Sami and Kevin can handle the other side of this. But it didn't showcase your two guys that main evented night one of WrestleMania in a way that you could have on the main event of Monday Night Raw and make Monday Night Raw feel as valuable as it did. This was a match that served the Judgment Day, and we served them all of hour one. We already talked about that. We served enough Judgment Day in the appetizers. We didn't need it for dessert. And that's the thing that frustrated me the most.
No, I mean that is a very fair point to bring up. I will agree with you there. But like you said, they're tag team champions, the Judgment Day, the top faction, on Raw. I don't think it hurt them. I don't think it.
No,
did.
I think it helped them, and I don't necessarily think in the long run it hurts Sami and Kevin, but it's a throwaway opportunity to put another tag team in that spot on the other end and tell the exact same story. Because you're not telling.
Who is that?
That's my point. Is who is there? There isn't. We named 5 in the. How about any of them?
Well, I actually made a mistake. I said that the 5 tag teams on Raw. It actually was an entire WWE that they named. The tag team division just isn't very
strong.
It's just not stacked right now. I mean, of course, you've got Anderson and Gallows, who I think are being heavily underutilized, but they're on SmackDown. So that's not even Raw again.
Okay.
So
we break that rule every week. Do it anyway. I don't know.
They have too many good, they have too many good tag teams actually on SmackDown when SmackDown doesn't have as much time. And that's what you're seeing this year, right? The SmackDown roster is so stacked, but there's not enough time to showcase everybody. So SmackDown's feeling rust outside of the bloodline every week. Meanwhile, Raw's just not got enough people
and
to
the
go
tag team
around.
titles are dominating half of Raw.
Yeah. Judgment Day is just running it. Yeah.
But they kind of have to because there's not enough people on the roster.
Yeah.
I mean, there is, but there's no one that you care about. I mean, you got Bronson Reed, you got all these mid-carders. That's what I'm saying. So they do have people, but it's just no one that's up to the level of what you care for.
I mean, I'm hoping Johnny Gargano is going to help champ or even the odds against Bronson Reed and The Miz. And there you are. You have DIY then. That's another top. That's a top face tag team you'd have then. But guys, that pretty much brings us to the end of the show. It has been a banger of an episode. And if you are watching over on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are feeling extremely generous, just a little bit of a share this around your friends. We're here every single day for you guys. Also on Spotify, Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. If you're there, a cheeky 5 stars would be delightful. We'll be back an hour earlier tomorrow, 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. So, yeah, that'll be an absolute great show as well when we preview Dynamite. But thank you to Chaos and thank you to Clark for joining me here today. And thank you to everybody for watching. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your night.